All right. Hi, welcome to the Real Bible Study, everybody. My name is Danielle, for those who don't know me, and I am the Bible Study facilitator. So before we start Bible study, we always like to open in prayer. So we're going to open with our prayer. Is everybody ready?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Lord, open our eyes
Lord, open our eyes
so we can see something we've never saw before.
so we can see something we've never saw before.
Open our ears
Open our ears
so we can hear something we've never heard before.
so we can hear something we've never heard before.
And open our hearts
And open our hearts
so we can receive something we've never received before.
so we can receive something we've never received before.
Amen.
Amen.
All right. So we're going to be tonight, and again, Genesis 34 and 35. So I'll start and I'll read while you guys read along with me silently. Are we ready?
Yes.
All right. Leah's daughter Dinah, whom Leah bore to Jacob, went out to see some of the young women of the area. When Shechem, son of Hamor, the Hivite, who was the region's chieftain, saw her, he took her and raped her. He became infatuated with Jacob's daughter Dinah. He loved the young girl and spoke tenderly to her. "Give me this girl as a wife," he told his father. Jacob heard that Shechem had defiled his daughter, Dinah, but since his sons were with his livestock in the field, he remained silent until they returned. Meanwhile, Shechem's father, Hamor, came to speak with Jacob. Jacob's sons returned from the field when they heard about the incident. They were deeply grieved and very angry, for Shechem had committed an outrage against Israel by raping Jacob's daughter, and such a thing should not be done. Hamor said to Jacob's son, "My son Shechem has his heart set on your daughter. Please give her to him as a wife. Intermarry with us, give your daughters to us, and take our daughters for yourselves. Live with us. The land is before you. Settle here, move about, and acquire property in it." Then Shechem said to Dinah's father and brothers, "Grant me this favor, and I'll give you whatever you say. Demand of me a high compensation and gift. I'll give you whatever you ask me. Just give the girl to be my wife." But Jacob's son answered Shechem and his father Hamor deceitfully, because he had defiled their sister Dinah. "We cannot do this thing," they said to them. "Giving our sister to an uncircumcised man is a disgrace to us. We will agree with you only on this condition. If all your males are circumcised as we are, then we will give you our daughters. Take your daughters out for ourselves, live with you, and become one people. But if you will not listen to us and be circumcised, then we will take our daughter and go." Their words seemed good to Hamor and his son Shechem. The young men did not delay doing this because he was delighted with Jacob's daughter. Now he was the most important in all his father's family. So Hamor and his son Shechem went to the gate of their city and spoke to the men of their city. "These men are peaceful towards us," they said. "Let them live in our land and move about it, for indeed the region is large enough for them. Let's take their daughters as our wives and give our daughters to them. But the men will agree to live with us and be one people only on this condition: if all our men are circumcised as they are. Won't their livestock, their possessions, and all their animals become ours? Only let's agree with them and they will live with us." All the men who had came to the city gates listened to Hamor and his son Shechem, and all those men were circumcised. On the third day, when they were still in pain, two of Jacob's sons, Simeon and Levi, Dinah's brothers, took their swords, went into the unsuspecting city, and killed every male. They killed Hamor and his son Shechem with their swords, took Dinah from Shechem's house, and went away. Jacob's sons came to the slaughter and plundered the city because their sister had been defiled. They took their flocks, herds, donkeys, and whatever was in the city and in the field. They captured all their possessions, dependents, and wives, and plundered everything in the houses. Then Jacob said to Simeon and Levi, "You have brought trouble on me, making me odious to the inhabitants of the land, the Canaanites and the Perizzites, or Perizzites. We are few in number. If they unite against me and attack me, I and my household will be destroyed. But they answered, should he treat our sister like a prostitute? Okay, ladies. So for tonight's Bible study, I'm going to give it a title, Trying to Sleep in the Bed You Made. Trying to sleep in the bed you made. It's nothing like sleeping in a nice clean bed. I love getting in my bed after I shower, put on some fresh PJs and slide under the covers in my bed. Now in my bed, I know how I like it to be made. Even when my husband helps me, he doesn't do it right. I always spray the mattress with Lysol, put the fitted sheet on, then I spray the fitted sheet with the linen spray, and then I put the top sheet on. And then on my comforter, I spray the pillows with the Lysol before I put the pillowcases, the clean pillowcases on. I mean, it's nothing like it. Even when I go to a hotel, before I get in that bed, I'm going to spray everything down with some Lysol because you never know what has happened in that bed. This way I feel like I had a hand in the bed that I was sleeping in. In 1997, Virginia Dewberry and Donna Grant wrote one of my favorite books, Trying to Sleep in the Bed You Made. When you think of that title, what comes to mind?
Living with the choices you made.
Living with the choices you made. Anybody else? Trying to sleep in the bed you made. Anybody else?
Crying makes it seem like you did something that you were supposed to leave alone.
Okay, you did something that you were supposed to leave alone. Okay. Okay, so I said, I'm trying to deal with something that somebody else put me in, or that I allowed somebody else to put me in. In this book, we meet characters that are bonded by a tragedy that happened to them in childhood, and how that tragedy, this is the book, not the Bible. In the book, Trying to Sleep in the Bed You Made, we come about is some characters that are bonded together by a tragedy that happened to them in childhood, and how that particular tragedy affected them for the rest of their lives. I'm not going to give the book away in case anybody wants to read it for themselves. It was a great book. If we can remember, in Genesis 31 and 13, God told Jacob to get up and leave the land he was currently in and return to his native land. But oh no, he decided in Genesis 33 and 19 to purchase a section of field and pitch a tent from Shechem, and that's the father, for 100 pieces of silver. He bought it, never once thinking about what might happen because of his disobedience. Jacob chose to live in a city he was not called to live in, and by doing so, he left his family open to ungodly influence. That's just what happens in Genesis 34. Jacob's children are forced to deal with the repercussions of the bed he made for them to live in. Let's dive in. If you had to describe Jacob as a father, how would you describe him? Anybody? If you wanted to describe Jacob as a father, how would you describe him?
So far, what I get is he's misdirected.
Misdirected? Okay.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Now, mind you, he done had these wives. He done had these 12 sons. He done had Dinah, the daughter. What kind of father do you think he is? If you had to just guess. Not that they describe him much as a father, but if you had to just think about the things that we've read so far over these past couple of weeks, how would you describe him?
It's kind of like he was selfish in
I
a way.
say that.
Mhm,
Yes,
mhm.
absolutely
'Cause he-
selfish.
Yeah, because everything he did, he had to reap something from.
Yes.
Mhm.
I would agree. Anybody else? That's the main thing that I would say, that he was a selfish father. So my second question is, do y'all think his children respected him? So from all the stories that
Mm.
we've read, and even from this story, do y'all think the children respected him?
I
And
don't
if
know if
Probably not.
respect is the right word. Yeah, I was going to say they tolerated him
tolerated, so
Mm.
why would you say that?
because he never really showed unconditional love for them. It
Okay.
was always, if you do this for me,
Mhm.
situations that, he felt like they had to do for for them to show
Mhm.
their love and respect. But I don't feel like he reciprocated it back.
I think Jacob was a dysfunctional father.
Mm, that's a
Why
good
you say
word.
that?
That's a good
Why you
word.
say that, Ashley?
Because he just throughout the chapters we read about him, he showed so much lack of honesty, lack of patience. He didn't show unconditional love. He was just like negative, and it kind of like showed in his children. That's
Okay,
why I would say he was dysfunctional.
I like that.
Read it.
Okay, it's okay, Shantanice. You catch up.
Thank
So
you.
we on Genesis 34. If
Okay.
you want to just get to it, Shantanice. So what is the first repercussion of the bid that Jacob made? So we're gonna dive right in it.
That his
Right at the
daughter was
beginning.
raped.
His daughter was raped. Absolutely. So do y'all think that Shechem loved Dinah? So
Which
now
one raped her? Was it Shechem? Shechem raped her? Okay.
Shechem raped her. So Shechem raped Dinah. And do y'all think that he loved her?
Well, my Bible says he fell in love with her and tried
Okay.
to win her affection with tender words.
So do you think so at the time though, when he defiled her and he raped her, do you think he was just attracted more so by what she looked like?
Of course.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. And so if you had to think about why Dinah was raped, because we read the story, this is what she said. She left out of the camp, left Leah's daughter, Dinah, whom Leah bore to Jacob, went out to see some of the young women of the area. Was she left unattended? Do you think she was told not to go there?
Probably to
And
stay
let's
close to the camp.
stay close to the camp. But let's talk about the camp that he wasn't even supposed to be at anyway. This is why the children are having to deal with the repercussion of a decision that their father made, because they weren't even supposed to be in this land. If he would have listened to the Lord and went where he was supposed to go, they wouldn't even have been here. So that's why now his kids are forced to live in a bed. That's the title of the lesson, Shantanice, trying to sleep, having to sleep in a bed somebody else made.
Got it.
Okay. So I said no, he didn't love her. Because if he loved her, he would have asked her to marry him first. Now, because of Jacob's disobedience, he has not only affected his house, but the house of another man as well. Y'all see that? Because see, now you didn't let your daughter be defiled. And now the person who defiled your daughter, his household is going to be looked at crazy because he done did something he shouldn't have did because you was in a place you weren't supposed to be in. So what was the next repercussion of Jacob's bed making skills?
The sons
Genesis.
went back to kill. Oh.
No, that's wait a minute. So I decided to start giving y'all the verses that match the questions to try to help us so y'all can kind of see where the lesson is going. So in Genesis 34, verses 5-7, what is the repercussion of Jacob's Jacob's bed making skills?
Don't Shechem marry his daughter, Dinah? No.
What you say?
What was it that his
Aisha, what's your sister name? Aisha?
Asia.
Asia.
Yeah,
Okay.
Asia.
Asia, what did you say?
That the sons went back to.
Okay. Okay. So no, we ain't get there yet. We ain't get there yet. So
okay.
before then. So look at 5 to 7. It'll give you the answer.
The fathers talk to make an agreement.
So let's look at 5. Jacob heard that Shechem had defiled his daughter Dinah, but since his sons were with his livestock in the field, he remained silent.
Right. He didn't tell what happened.
So he didn't say anything.
Mm-hmm.
So that's his silence is the next repercussion of what happened. And I believe because he was silent, that's what kind of sent his sons spiraling. Because if he would have did something or said something, they might not have felt like they had to take such drastic measures. So they were angry, though, as they should be. The sons were angry because this man raped their sister. Now, also remember, the 2 sons, Simeon and Levi, who are going to be the ones that avenge her rape, are really her sisters, her brothers, because their mother also is Leah. I had to look that up just to make sure. So Leah is Dinah's mother, Simeon's mother, and Levi. So they share the same mother and the same father. So it's not just like she a daughter, a sister in the tribe. She is their sister all the way around. So if we start to look at Genesis 34 verses 8 through 12, what's the next repercussion of Jacob's bed making skills?
Arranged marriages.
There you go. That's it. The arranged marriages. Yes, Ashley. So yes, I put the arranged marriage of Dinah and the intermarriage of the women of Canaan. Jacob's family and the Canaanite people are not supposed to be involved, and they especially not supposed to have children. So now he about to have a whole bunch of people laying in this bed that he done made. So if we go to Genesis 34, 18 to 24, what's the next repercussion for Jacob's bed making skills?
The son agreed to a proposal.
Yep, but what happens in that proposal when they agree? Let's just look at verse 24.
They had to be circumcised?
They had to be circumcised. So yes, I said all the men had to be circumcised. As crazy as this should have been to them, and the fact that Shechem wanted Dinah, you know they were thinking, oh yeah, got him. All we got to do is get circumcised, and we're going to be able to marry into their large families, marry their women, deal with their wealth, because they're an influential family. I'm sure they heard the rumors about Jacob and how blessed he was and how God had favor on him, and everything that he touched turned to gold. They like, yeah, we could share in their animals. We could take their women. Did y'all notice that how they say we're gonna give our women, but we're gonna take theirs? Let's look at it. Because I pulled that up. I was like, wait. So they said, let them live in our land and move about in it, for indeed the region is large enough for them. Let's take their daughters as our wives and give our daughters to them. Did y'all catch that?
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
want
What
take
was the
that
motive behind it?
because you living in their land. You came into their land. You ain't even supposed to be there, to be honest. But just the wordage in that. I'm going to take something from you, but I'm going to give you. Because when you giving somebody something, that means you're doing it freely. But when you taking something, You're not giving that free. You're not taking it. The other person not taking it or giving it to you freely. You taking it from them. To me, it's like you stealing a little bit, right?
So was it like their payment that they like put in place for them being there taking their women?
No, so the brothers agreed to say, okay, we're going to intermarry amongst them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to give you out, we're going to let you take our women. And he's saying, okay, but we're going to give you ours. So for me, they say, I'm gonna give you my daughter. And then you say, but I'm going to take yours. Them two words to me, it just don't seem right, because it could have as easily been written, we're going to give them out. They're going to give us their daughters and we're going to give them ours. But when you say we will take their daughters, but we will give them ours, like you taking something from somebody that don't want to give you what they have. To me, that's how I read it. Now, it might not be right, but that's just how I read it. So I said in Genesis now 34, 26 to 29, what's the next repercussion of Jacob's bid making skills?
Somebody got killed.
No, not
Right.
somebody. A whole lot of people got
Oh,
killed. But
yeah.
yes, Ashley,
Yeah.
absolutely.
All of them
All of them got
all
killed.
of them.
All the men got killed.
got killed.
So I said the brothers, they rescued their sister. They killed Hamor and Shechem for what they did, for what Shechem did to their sister. They also took their sheep, their oxen, their donkeys, and all of their wealth.
Everything.
They went in the house plundering. Does anybody know what that means?
Like rummaging around?
Take by force. Yes. All that was inside. I guess they felt like this. They took something from my sister by force, so we're going to do the same to them. Y'all see that they took the sister, because you know back in those times, women had to be virgins to be married. A man didn't want to marry them if they wasn't a virgin. They felt like they weren't pure, like they were dirty, like they weren't good enough. So you took her opportunity to give that to her husband, even if you said you wanted to marry her after. Why wasn't she enough? Why wasn't she important enough to say, okay, I want to marry your daughter to make an honest woman out of her? And the part that really makes me angry about Jacob is you had to work for your wives, but you ain't make this man had to work for your daughter. The one thing I can say about Laban, he made him work for his daughters. He knew he said, oh, I'm not going to just give them to you, and you sure ain't going to take them. You're going to have to work for him. But he didn't do that. Did y'all notice that?
Mm-hmm.
So you would have thought that he said, okay, he had one daughter that we talk about. I don't know how many more he might have had, but he had this one daughter. And he didn't make them work for it. But my question to y'all is, if Dinah was Rachel's daughter, do you think it would have been different?
Absolutely, because Rachel was his favorite.
I believe that too,
That part.
Ashley.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I absolutely believe that. I absolutely believe that if that daughter, but also let's talk about Leah, her mother, because she wanted to keep having sons, right? Remember when she had her, she was like, oh,
Yeah,
I'm going to name her
she
Dinah.
wasn't really,
Yeah.
because she really wasn't happy about that.
Yeah, I'm going to name her Dinah. She didn't even give her name. It wasn't even enough to say what her name meant. So that let us know what her place was going to look like to her mother. Sons were important. The daughter wasn't. But I do believe Rachel would have felt different Jacob made it felt different if this daughter would have been hers, because Jacob loved Rachel's kids to a whole different level. And we're going to see that as the story continues, as we read on down the line. He had a different kind of love for Rachel kids. Way different than the love he had for these other kids. Okay, so now I said, In Genesis 34, 30, and 31, what is the next repercussion of Jacob's bed making skills?
He blamed his
kinda
sons
blamed
for
the
ruining
sons.
him.
Yeah.
But then the sons was right. Why should they let
Mhm.
them treat their sister like a prostitute?
That's exactly
At
what I
least that's what
said.
my Bible say.
That's exactly what it said, Ashley. That's what Jacob's reaction. He seemed to only be concerned with himself and the danger of retaliation against his small family. He wasn't concerned for right or wrong, for God's righteousness, or for what happened to the innocent people of Canaan, because he didn't care that them men died. All he was cared about is, what is this going to do to me? So I said Jacob passed his own deceitfulness nature into his sons. They witnessed him telling lies to his brother Esau when he told him he was going to go one way, but one another. Remember, right here in Genesis 33, he said, I'm going to go. Wait, right here, he said, let my Lord go ahead of his servant. I will continue on slowly at a pace suited to the livestock and the children until I come to my Lord at Seir. Esau said, well, let me leave some of my people with you. But he replied, why do that? Please indulge me, my Lord. Like, basically, leave me alone. That day, Esau started on his way back to Seir, but Jacob went to Succoth. He built a house for himself and shelters for his livestock. That is why the place was called Succoth. So now he done picked it and been in the land of Canaan. He wasn't supposed to be there. Remember, they ain't supposed to mix with the Canaanites, and he knew that. But he wanted to stay there. And he bought a piece of land for 100 pieces of silver. Okay, so he told him not to go, but he went another way. He pitched his tent somewhere where he wasn't supposed to be, and he didn't say anything about Dinah being raped. Look at everything that his kids had to go through because he made a bed for them to lie in. So let's talk about it. The daughter got raped. The sons became murderers. They became thieves. All because his father made a decision to put his family in a position where they weren't supposed to be. Oh, but let's check about how good God is. He let somebody else make a bed for us to lie in, but then he makes sure that bed becomes comfortable. What was bad in 34, we will now see how God worked it out for their good in 35. All right. Y'all ready to move on to 35?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So God said to Jacob, get up, go to Bethel and settle there. Build an altar there to the God who appeared to you when you fled from your brother Esau. So Jacob said to his family and all who were with him, get rid of the foreign gods that are among you. Purify yourselves and change your clothes. We must get up and go to Bethel. I will build an altar there to the God who answered me in my days of distress. He has been with me everywhere I have gone. Then they gave Jacob all their foreign gods and their earrings, and Jacob hid them under the oak near Shechem. When they set out, a terror from God came over the cities around them, and they did not pursue Jacob's sons. So Jacob and all who were with him came to Luz, which is Bethel, in the land of Canaan. Jacob built an altar there and called the place El Bethel because it was there that God had revealed himself to him when he was fleeing from his brother. Deborah, the one who had nursed and raised Rebekah, died and was buried under the oak south of Bethel. So Jacob named it Alabakuth. God appeared to Jacob again after he returned from Paddan Aram, and he blessed him. God said to him, your name is Jacob. You will no longer be named Jacob, but your name will be Israel. So he named him Israel. God also said to him, I am God Almighty. Be fruitful and multiply. A nation indeed, an assembly of nations will come from you, and kings will descend from you. I will give to you the land that I gave to Abraham and Isaac, and I will give the land to your future descendants. Then God withdrew from him at that place where he had spoken to him. Jacob set up a marker at the place where he had spoken to him, a stone marker. He poured the drink offering on it and poured oil on it. Jacob named the place where God had spoken with him Bethel. They set out from Bethel. When they were still some distance from R.E.A.L, Rachel began to give birth, and her labor was difficult. During her difficult labor, the midwife said to her, "Don't be afraid, for you have another son." With her last breath, for she was dying, she named him Ben-Oni, but his father called him Benjamin. So Rachel died and was buried on the way to Ephrath, which is Bethlehem. Jacob set up a marker on her grave. It is the marker at Rachel's grave until today. Israel set out again and pitched his tent beyond the Tower of Eder. While Israel was living in that region, Reuben went and slept with his father's concubine, Bilhah, and Israel heard about it. Jacob had 12 sons. Leah's sons were Reuben, which was the firstborn, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Issachar, and Zebulun. Rachel's sons were Joseph and Benjamin. The sons of Rachel's slave, Bilhah, were Dan and Naphtali. The sons of Leah's slave, Silpha, were Gad and Asher. These are the sons of Jacob who were born to him in Paneram. Jacob came to his father Isaac at Mam and Kerla-Rabbah, that is Hebron, where Abraham and Isaac had stayed. Isaac lived 180 years. He took his last breath and died, and was gathered to his people old and full of days. His sons Esau and Jacob buried him. Okay, so when we read 35, what is one of the good things that came from Jacob's bed making? So that's 35 and 1.
The 12 tribes.
We didn't get there yet. That's towards the end.
Huh?
That's towards the end.
Oh.
So we on the first verse. What did they
He
get?
left.
They had to
He
leave.
got to leave.
They had to go to Bethel, where they should have been in the first place. So that's the first good thing. They was already someplace they weren't supposed to be. And so now that they did this bad thing and they was lying in this bed that their father made for them, God trying to make it right. He said, okay, get up and go to Bethel where I told you. So what's the next thing that came from Jacob's bed making? That's 2 to 4, the good thing that came from his bed making skills. Yeah, 2 to 4. Verses 2 to 4.
Was it like to get rid of the foreign stuff and to purify themselves?
Yeah. They had to put away their foreign gods, their earrings, and change their garments. So if we go to Genesis 35 and 7, what's the next good thing that came from Jacob's bed making?
God renamed Jacob. He said he renamed him to Israel.
Now check.
Oh,
Jacob built the altar.
Now check. So 5 to 7.
oh,
God told him to spread his people all over so Jacob's family wouldn't be attacked.
So yes, he protected them.
Mm-hmm.
He protected them. He said, okay, I know you scared because your sons then killed these people, but I'm gonna let y'all leave, and I'm going to protect y'all so that they can't follow y'all. So I'm going to protect you like he always said he would do. So if we go to 9 to 15, what's the next thing that came from Jacob's bed making? So now we are 9 to 15. Sherry.
That's when God
His
changed his
name
name.
Changed his name. So I said he blessed him, and he had to remind Jacob who he was. He said, your name is Israel. So stop acting like Jacob. Those things that you did those things when you were Jacob. Now I want you to live and I want you to walk in your new name and do things differently. Walk in the name of Israel because you are a new man in my eyes. He said, the land that I gave your father and your grandfather, I now give to you. Israel, not Jacob. So be who you're supposed to be. Stop being who you used to be. What was the next good thing that came from Jacob's bed making? And that's 16 through 17. (16 through 17).
They moved and had another son.
They had another son. They named him Benjamin, right? So the birth of Benjamin. Now, unfortunately, with the birth of Benjamin, he also had to deal with the death of his beloved Rachel. So now, Jacob wasn't the only one that was making beds for others to lie in. Let's continue. So in Genesis 35 and 19 through 20, Rachel had to deal with the bed that she made. Because remember, in Genesis 30 and 1, she pleaded with Jacob, give me children or else I die. As it happened, both became true. She had children and died giving birth. The power of life and death comes out of our mouths, ladies. So let's be careful of what we say, because it could be a blessing or a curse. So who had to sleep in the bed she made? Rachel begged, I want to have these kids. She died giving birth. Who had to deal with the repercussions of the bed she made? This you're going to have to come up and you're going to think. It's not in here. If you had to think about it, she wanted to have another baby. She already had one. She survived that one. So who going to have to deal with the fact that now you want to have another one and it's killed you?
Benjamin.
All her kids. Benjamin and her other son, Joseph, because now they don't have no mama. So I put that she was going to have these children, and she was still in competition with her sister. So now they don't have a mother because she wanted to keep being in competition and having babies with her sister. And now Israel don't have his favorite wife, because now she did. And she probably died at an age that was probably younger than what they would have expected her to die. So I said in Genesis 35, 21 and 22, Reuben, he had to deal with the bed he made. What did he do?
That was the concubine.
He slept with his father concubine and his mother concubine too, Bilhah, which was Rachel's maidservant, and the mother to his brothers. We don't have to look very far to see where this came, or this where this came, or any type of behavior like this came from. Who had to deal with the repercussions from this? So for this one, I said the whole family, because he was the oldest and he should have been leading by example. So this is the big one, y'all. We're going to recap it all here. In Genesis 35 and 27 and 29, Isaac had to deal with the bed he made 20 years ago. So we had to think about, now Isaac is dying. Well, what all has happened? What did Isaac do? And the repercussions of what he did, how that affected and made a bed that all these people had to lie in. If we think back to when we had the beginning of Bible study, What did he do? Everything that he did, which caused that bed.
You referring to like Esau and Jacob?
Yes, all of it.
Oh, okay.
So I'm going to just recap it so we can tie it together. So I said Isaac had to deal with the bed he made 20 years ago because he wanted to bless the son he wanted, which caused his other son to deceive him, or so he thought. The blessing was handed to Jacob, which was his anyway, but Esau thought he should get it because he was the oldest. Esau, of course, said he was going to kill his brother. So Jacob fled to his mother's old land and hooked up with Laban, married 2 sisters, had 12 sons. Now, he did receive many blessings. He ran away. He lied again. He had to flee and go back home. Was scared, though, because he thought his brother was going to kill him. He stayed somewhere else he wasn't supposed to be. His daughter got raped. Her brothers avenged her death by killing the men in the other city. They ran again. His wife had another son. Her maidservant died. She died. The son slept with the aunt's concubine. And then Isaac himself died. He missed out on 20 years of his son's life because he wanted to do what he wanted. And now look at all the lives that was affected. I want us to do that from now on when we are making decisions. Take a moment and think now, if I do this, who is it going to affect? How is it going to affect them? When is the effect going to happen? Where will that effect happen? What is it going to really affect them? And why do I really need to do this? And most importantly, will the bed that I make be comfortable for others to sleep in? That's my question. So I'm going to tie it together. Cause and effect. I like it. I'm going to tie it together. Let me share my screen.
You never know what the day is going to bring. You have difficult things that happen, but every time I came back to that small one-room facility we called a bee hut, there was one thing that I controlled, and it was that bed. And there was something reassuring about coming back to a bed that was made. It was a little bit of order in your day that was chaotic and sometimes disastrous and sometimes heartbreaking. When I first went to SEAL training, I was under the impression that the first thing we were going to learn was hand-to-hand combat or how to go out and do missions, and it was very interesting that one of the first things they wanted you to do was to make your bed. And every morning we would get up and we would have to have a uniform inspection and an inspection of the bed. And I didn't really understand why, when we were trying to become battle-hardened SEALs, that they wanted us to focus on the bed. And at one point in time, I remember asking one of my instructors, and he was very clear about it. He said, look, if you can't even make your bed right, how are you ever going to run a complex SEAL mission correctly? And his point was, making your bed is a simple task. If it's the first task you do in the morning, it's something that kind of gets you going. It encourages you to do another task and another task and another. But also it's about doing that task correctly. When we had our morning inspections, the pillow had to be right at the center of the headboard. The blanket had to be folded perfectly rectangular at the base of the bed. You had to have 45-degree hospital corners. So it was done to exacting standards. And the point of the exercise was learn to do the little things right. And if you can do the little things right, you'll be able to do the big things right. We used to always talk about integrity or character was doing the right thing when nobody was watching. That's what's important. And I think when you think about making your bed, nobody's going to come in as the Navy SEALs did and inspect your bed, but you will know you made your bed, and you will take some pride in the fact that you did that and that you did it well. That's the important lesson to take away.
Okay, what did we learn?
You make your bed, you lie in it.
Make a bed, you lie in it. I like it. Anything else? What else did we learn? That I learned that sometimes the bed that I make may ultimately affect others. That it's not just about me being comfortable in that bed that I make. it's about also making sure others are comfortable too. And how, if I make this bed, what the effect of that bed making, or how it might affect others, like how it might affect my husband, how it could fight, how it might affect my son, my grandchild, my sisters, my mother. And I think that to me was the most important thing, like how it all becomes a spiral. Of course, Jacob didn't think that if he went to this place, his daughter was going to get raped. His sons were going to then have to murder these people. But he was told what to do. So how many times is it that we've been told to do things by whoever, our parents, when we were younger, or somebody might have made a suggestion and it might have been like, I ain't doing it that way. But we had to deal with the repercussions that come from it. What, gotta have discipline. I like it. What else did anybody learn? I know y'all had to learn something that y'all ain't know. Did y'all know Dinah was going to get raped?
No, I learned. I just wanted to just be prepared. Like, just be prepared for it, and make sure just what you said, like, you just gotta be mindful if that bed is gonna be comfortable.
For everybody.
For everybody.
Yeah.
And not just me.
Yeah. Especially
that's not me.
Especially if it's not just you and your family, right? Maybe
Right.
if you live by yourself or don't have children or a significant other,
Right.
or no friends or nothing, you're just a loner.
Right.
Maybe whatever decision you can make a bed that it don't affect anybody else.
Right.
But most people do stuff and it is gonna affect somebody else. And so, like, is there anybody else on here who like their bed made a certain way?
I used to make my bed with the four corners and like that, because that's how I was trained when I was a CNA. But now that's a whole different story. I just make it up and, tuck the ends and let them hang.
Yeah.
I don't do the corners anymore. So.
I don't do the corners either, but I just I gotta make sure it smell good, right? That's just
and
like the whole thing.
And I do like now, I don't do that like that, but I put the powder on the mattress and
I don't do
pop
the
the mattress. And, pop the mattress on it, but that's it.
But I do spray the Lysol, and so
Right.
I can always tell if he make the bed and he didn't do everything right. And I'll be like, man, I'm gonna have to sleep in this bed he made.
Wow.
So, just something as simple as somebody not doing something the way you want it done. Could also be them sleeping in the bed, you having to sleep in a bed that they made. Something just as simple as that.
I don't like it.
You don't like it?
I'm a control person, like a control freak about my bed, like, well, just in general. So if something off, I get like a feeling of dysfunction. I'm like,
So you gotta go back and do it again.
I'll probably like see what they're gonna do about it, like based on my reaction, and then I'll be like, let me see how I'm gonna proceed.
So if you want your bed made a certain way, right? Do you then say?
I'm gonna say something, but I want to see I want to see their response to my response. If that makes sense.
Okay, so what if their way of making a bed is better than your way?
I'm like, okay, that's different.
So do you get a chance to sleep in it though, to see if it's better? So that's another thing, ladies, like somebody else's way of making a bed might, because it was some blessings in this lesson. And in a decision of him making this bed, some people did. He had another son, even though his wife died, but he still had another son. They did get to finally go to Bethel. He did get to spend some time with his father before he died. So there was some good that came from the bed that he made. So it wasn't all bad. So think about that next time when you make your bed. Literally, like, dang, I make this bed, and who is going to be affected by this bed that I'm making? Is it going to be just me? Do my kids like to come lay in my room and watch TV with me? Do my significant other like this to be a certain way? My dog, my dog loves a clean bed. Like you think she would, she like to lay on the bed. She like when the bed get clean, she like to lay at the bottom and she'd smile and be like
That
like
part.
that just made her day, like she work hard. But so it affects her. So I just want us to think about that. Before we leave, is there anything else we want to discuss before we end for the evening? Okay.
I think
Say
that
one
it's a
thing.
lesson.
Go ahead,
Yeah.
Ashley. Go ahead.
So I wanted to say this kind of reminded me of our like free will almost. Like the destination is always going to be the same, but the journey you take is up to you.
Yes, I like
But
it.
the destination is going to always be what it's supposed to be.
You
Just
gonna
like he was
always get
supposed to
there
always
eventually.
be in Bethel, and that's where he winded up at. But he could have made his life easier if he
Yeah.
would have just did what God told him to do in the beginning.
In the
But he
beginning.
chose free will and he wanted to do things his own way,
Yeah.
which made things difficult for him and
I
his
like it.
family.
I like
But
and
overall,
yeah.
he still ended up where he was supposed to be.
So he can name his bed, well, free will. He can name his bed free will. I like that. I like that a lot. Anybody else want to say, Shar, you want to say something?
Oh, I was just going to say that it's just it just was amazing still how the women still had to go through so much, did not have ever in any of these stories that we've read, was there any real respect or love really showed to them. Even they just had to go through so much and do so much as women back then. And it was just like, there was no choice.
But think about it.
It was
That's how
limited.
we treat it like that now.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's changed?
Yeah.
What's changed? The only thing that may have changed, even though we may have a voice, even if we still say no, it don't matter. They take away the woman's right to choose. They took away, we don't get paid as much as men. We don't get viewed as equals. So that's why when we have to, and it's sad because we have to work 10 times harder than our counterparts just to get a loaf of bread. They don't got to work that hard. It's given to them. It's expected of them. For us, they look at us like, I mean, they probably didn't know Donna was going into the city.
Right.
Nobody even missed her. Can you imagine somebody coming to your father? These people came to her father and say, yeah, well, like she was not, I just raped your daughter. And now I want her.
Yeah, that was what shocked me.
Can you imagine
the audacity that
to say that to somebody?
Yeah. Yeah.
And he just said, well, my sons is out in the field. I'm gonna wait for them to come back.
Yeah.
But again, I think if she was Rachel's daughter,
yeah, it would have been totally different.
It would have been totally different.
Totally
And that's
different.
sad. And you know well, we're gonna read further and we're gonna see how these siblings really feel about each other as we continue on in the story.
Yeah. It was one other thing I just wanted to say before we leave. It's amazing how, like as you said, your destination might be different, but God still showed favor, even with all that they did, all that Jacob did. He still showed them favor.
He still protected him.
He still protected him. He still said, let me let you know I am the Almighty. So no matter what you do, I still got you in the midst.
And say God protects dummies and babies and dummies.
Babies and fools.
Babies and fools.
Babies and fools.
Go watch out for babies and fools. And even in that, like, and I wonder though, when they went and they rescued Donna, do you think she wanted to be rescued? Or do you think she might have wanted to stay? Because think about it. What man gonna want her?
Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
Right.
That's why it was so detrimental to be like, dang, why couldn't you just protect your daughter? Why can't we just protect our daughters? And so mothers that are on here that have daughters, you got to protect your daughters. Because the father's not.
At all costs.
Absolutely.
Because I'm going to jail for mine.
Without a doubt. Sit on the
Mhm.
porch
I
and wait for the
do.
police to
Right.
come.
I'm a call them myself for mine.
Absolutely. Sit on the porch and wait.
And
Yes,
guess
ma'am.
what? And guess what? In the midst of it, God gonna still show you favors. He said, "Don't be no
Sure.
fool down here on earth." He ain't tell you to do that.
Exactly.
And while I'm sitting in jail, y'all just put some money on my books.
That's it. And
Mhm.
pray in agreement, because you're gonna come out on top.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
I be giving Bible. They be like, girl, I was incarcerated, and they had this girl in there. She was doing a real Bible study. It was good.
Mhm.
The Lord again, he still, because my free will would be like, well, I know this ain't right, Jesus, but
Yeah,
Got to be done.
Gotta be done.
Yes.
and that's why, and I mean, y'all, I know we running over, but is it sad that I was kind of cheering them on when they killed them in the town?
I was.
Is that terrible?
You know what? For me, I felt like finally someone felt like something should be done to stand up
Yeah,
for
for
one
that.
of these women. It
Exactly.
was just so amazing.
Exactly.
Was that wrong
Yeah.
though? And I mean, we keeping it real. Was that
That
wrong
ain't
that I was
no.
smiling?
because
No.
they violated them.
But
Yeah.
I was
So I'd have
smiling when I
killed them
read that part.
too.
I was like, so these grown men gonna get circumcised,
Mhm.
thinking, because I'm thinking in my mind, they was probably thinking like, oh yeah, we about to get them, right?
We
Yeah.
about to
But
get
they
them.
got.
Mhm.
That's it. I got.
But
That was the first time it was really showed that
yes,
someone cared about
a woman.
their sisters or siblings. That was it. That was like amazing. When I read that, I was like, wow. It took for something detrimental to happen for them to open their eyes and say, hey, this woman or this female has some worth a little bit anyway.
Yeah.
To us. They showed that's when they showed some real unconditional love, because they was like, you just not gonna treat my sister any
Should
kind
she
of
be
way.
treated like a prostitute?
Exactly. Absolutely
Right.
not.
Right.
I loved it. I really was like, wow, they got him.
I did.
Yeah,
did.
you topped it. You topped it.
Yeah,
You
they got
definitely
him.
topped it tonight. This was a good one tonight. I like this one too.
It was.
I'm glad.
This is
I'm
a
glad.
good one. I like this one too.
Remember y'all, when y'all making y'all beds, make sure everybody can sleep comfortable in it.
Make sure everybody can sleep comfortable.
Good night.
Good night, Danielle. Bye, y'all.
Good night. Have a good one.
Good evening, guys.